Good morning, everybody. It's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is April 3rd? Yes. How is everybody? Good. I know someone requested to see more of this shirt the last time I wore it. It just says Baddies, and then it's got Ursula, Corella, Maleficent, and the Evil Queen from Snow White. So I got it for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I think it was originally purchased at Target, in the men's department, actually, which you don't normally see the female Disney villains on clothing in the men's department, so that's always exciting. There's not a tremendous amount today to discuss. In fact, I don't think there was even a haul. Was there a haul this week? Oh, there was. Okay, so there's one tiny scotch of haul. There's some Q&A. There's 3.5 finishes. So that's actually really exciting. But they haven't made the April goals up yet for Magical Stitches. So I don't really know what I'm going to be working on this week yet. I will be figuring that out so I can show you my work project, and then I'll spin the wheel and see where it lands on what I'm going to work on today. So, all right. With that being said, Q&A, Deborah Dixon asks, do I use a stitch journal or a bullet journal? And the answer is neither. I actually use a regular planner, and one that has like a monthly calendar and then the days broken down. On the monthly calendar, I list the project and how many stitches I did on it that day. I also track my stitch alongs and the dates of the release dates for the next parts for that. And I also track finishes there. And then on the individual pages, I break it down and put, like, for instance, Anne Frank by Gera, goal 100 stitches a day. And then I write how many I did and if I achieved the goal or not. If there's a day where I don't stitch, or there's a day where a goal is just really not achieved and I've got an explanation for it, I'll write that in there. So that's kind of how I do it. Michelle, yes, I did. What you gonna do, punk? What you gonna do? And so asks, have I ever thought of stitching a Carolyn Manning, or something similar, like from one, and I'm guessing she means like the Carol Channing. There are a couple of Carol Mannings that I like. I'm not a big fan of just monochromatic stitching, even when it's monochromatic where it's like multiple shades of the same color. That's just not my general thing. But she has one or two. She has a Halloween one that I really like. The big problem there is I need fabric big enough for it because it's kind of an odd shape. And once you get over fat quarters in fabric, that can get pressy. So that's why I haven't put it in as a to-start project. In regards to one like this, like converting like this Life magazine cover, they never look good to me. There are people out there who love doing them. To me, they always look awful. So it is not something I have. I don't enjoy full coverage to begin with. I especially don't enjoy full coverage where at the end of it, I don't think it looks good. And so yeah, pick to pat is not something I'm ever gonna do. I just don't like how that looks. No offense to those who do, no offense to those who stitch it. It is just not my cup of tea. A stitch today, yes, Deb would do Invictus Proud, especially along the lines of creation, which is in my to start one day pile, because that's a gorgeous piece. All right, so that's it for the Q&A. So the one bit of haul was the March fabric of the month for Fortnite. And I'm doing the Meet the Browns collection. This is New Prerogative, and it's on 28 count Lugana. It's a very nice, lovely, and this is actually pretty close to what it is. It's maybe a little more pink in person, but very beautiful, very lightly modeled. Um, all right, so let's talk about what did I stitch this week. Well, first of all, I finished 3 projects. Basically every other day. I finished one Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. That has never happened before with me. That'll probably never happen again with me. And then I had an almost fully finished project, but unfortunately the staple gun I have it's fantastic. Like, I love it in general. It's my grandmother's from the 60s, but it just wasn't powerful enough to do what I needed to do. So I got it tacked in place, but it's going to wait until either I get a better staple gun or hopefully my mother has one, or we may have one and I just don't know where it is. But almost FFO. So first, we're going to start off with the almost FFO, which is my canvas finish of the Leslie Tier Wizard of Oz. Now, originally my plan had been to do the Satsuma Street, and I got a 12-inch. It's a 12 by 12 canvas, and I thought, oh, that's going to be perfect. Yeah, no, it didn't work. It was too big of a canvas for the fabric that I had. So I'm going to have to get like a 10 by 10, I think, and make it work, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But I at least got this done. So my goal was I wanted at least one canvas finish. So that's one of the 6 FFOs I needed to do this year. And then when I go to the store next, I'll get a 10 by 10. So I can have that done. And then, at least temporarily, they will replace some of the ones behind me because I need a couple of things for a Oz Talk at the end of the month. And as it stands, I literally have 1, maybe 2 Oz pieces that are actually FFO'd. Horrible as that is to say. So yeah. Alright, so that's the sort of big exciting one. Then we're going to go back kind of backwards. So the next one I did was the Moira Rose piece by Steph XStitch. I am positively bedeviled with meetings, etc. And I decided, originally I was going to stitch the flowered border that she did, but it turns out it's very difficult to find a rose gold metallic. So instead what I did was I decided to add Moira Rose under it because it's going to go on my desk at work. This is not the hoop that it's going to go in because I'm going to get a wooden one that I'll paint black. But it'll go in a hoop, and then I'm going to get like lace and feathers and some other things to go around it so that it creates kind of a wreath. And then I've got a Moira Rose pop figure that I may try to affix to it as well. But we'll see. I haven't decided for sure on that. But that's done. Alright. Then we had a finish of Narnia on Narnia. So this is the 10th of the Stitching Book Clubs. I made a few minor tweaks to Tumnus and his umbrella, and then I replaced some things with beads. So this is on Couture from Fortnite Fabrics. So I added beads up on those branches there. There's some gold beads in the crosses. There's some pretty beads in the crown, more of those blue beads on the branches. More blue beads there, and then it's a little hard to tell, but the snow is actually white beads. And they're theoretically in where they're actually supposed to be on the chart. But as we all know, when you're trying to place beads on non-Ada, sometimes you're just taking a guess as to where you're putting it. But that's okay, because it's falling snow, so if they're not perfect, it's fine, and no one can really tell, honestly, anyways. It just looks like snow, which is great. So I really enjoyed working on it. I really enjoyed rereading the book. And I'm definitely looking forward to when we do the next book club book, which she has not announced yet. I know she's wanting to take things slow because of her personal health, which I completely applaud. And in the meanwhile, I have Pride and Prejudice, and if I refine what I did with Little Women to finish so that I can do what I want to do with it. And I've got Frankenstein to finish, and Christmas Carol, and Great Gatsby. All right, now on to the big, more important, I think, probably finish, Anne Frank. So this is my Stitch Asia piece. This is by Gera. And I posted and discussed it on Instagram, but I'll discuss it here too. So there's some symbolism that I found in the piece. Surprise, surprise. So on the bookshelf, white is kind of universally known as being a color of peace. Doves are also a symbol of peace, sort of universally. So you've got, on that bookshelf that's behind her, there's 3 white books. And my feeling is that those 3 represent the remaining members of the Franck family. Her mother, her father, and her sister Margot. With her and her diary obviously being the 4th book. The 4 doves represent the other 4 people who stayed in the apartment with them, the 3 Van Pels, which, and I've never really kind of found out why, in the stage and film adaptations, they were renamed the Van Dans. But their real last name was the Van Pels. And then Mr. Dussel, whose last name I don't remember. Hang on, let me look. Fritz Pfeiffer. And she renamed him in her diary, so for a long time I believe that was just assumed that was his name, and then it was discovered no, it wasn't. So that the birds represent them. And there's the flowers along the side, and if you notice, there are 5 of the green and yellow sort of gold, and I think they're meant to represent the helpers. The yellow to tie them to the Star of David, the green sort of as a camouflage color for how they had to blend in and hide the fact that they were hiding them. And there were 5 helpers. In both the stage and film versions, it's kind of condensed down to 2, Victor Kluger and just Miep guys. But Miep's husband, Jan, as well as Johannes Kleiman and Bep Voskugel. I may have completely botched that, but I couldn't find a pronunciation, so if I did, my sincerest apologies there. But I think that's who they represent, or what those flowers represent. And then, of course, the roof is patterned after the cover of her diary, which protected her story, and the roof theoretically protected them as best it could. So, yeah. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. An important lesson to remember, especially now. So, there we go. And that's kind of it. That's all I really had. We'll go ahead and spin the wheel. Let's see what Tiny Decisions thinks I need to work on today. Spinning, spinning, spinning. Secret Garden by Tiny Modernist. So I will be finishing up the green grass and working up the sides. So I'll start on that after shortly. So anyhow, everyone has a great week, and I will see you next week.